someone said that Dajjal is a jinn, and that Dajjal is the son of Iblis. Dajjal is a jinn, and Dajjal is the son of Iblis. Now, my book entitled, this is the first book on Dajjal, you know about it, Dajjal, the Quran, and the beginning of history, or Awwaluz Zaman. It's being printed now in Malaysia. And the French translation is perhaps almost completed already. So it will soon be published in French, and it will soon be available in English. It is being translated to Malay, it is being translated to Bahasa Indonesia, it is being translated to Russian, it is being translated to Pashto Dari, it is being translated to the Serbian language, yes, Serbian, Bosnian, and I don't know how many more languages. The translations are already in progress. Now that book answers this question. So I'm going to give you an answer now, but I want you to read that book. In fact, you can start ordering the book now. You can go to my bookstore, imranhussain.com, imranhussain.com, and you can place your order for the book in English. You can place your order for the book in French. And as soon as the book is printed, we'll send it to you, inshallah. You can also download the book now. It's already available on my website, or is it available on my bookstore? And you can download the book free of charge. You can also download a PDF file of the book. And if you want to make a small donation, you can do so by sending us an email to my bookstore. And then we'll send you an invoice which you can use to send a payment through PayPal, for example, because it has to be a business transaction. They give problems when it's a donation. So now back to the question. Is Dajjal a jinn? Is Dajjal the son of Iblis, of Shaitan? That's the question that came from Jordan. And when we go to a subject in Islam like this, where do we look for the answer? The answer is always to be found, first of all, in the Book of Allah. You don't go to the Hadith first, do you? No, you go first to the Quran. Does the Quran make mention of Dajjal by name? No, it does not. No, it does not. Does that mean that there's nothing in the Quran on Dajjal? Of course not. That's wrong. Because there are two kinds of verses in the Quran, don't forget that. There are the ayat muhkamat, or the verses of the plain and clear, and in these verses you find the name, Dajjal. But if it's not there in the ayat muhkamat, then there are also other verses of the Quran called ayat mutashabihat, which are verses which have to be interpreted. So you will not find the name Dajjal there, but you'll have to interpret to be able to recognize that this verse is dealing with Dajjal. Are there such verses in the Quran? Yes, there are. And in my book entitled Dajjal, the Quran and Awwaluz Zaman, or the beginning of history, the most important point made in that book pertaining to Dajjal comes from a verse of the Quran. I have in the past made mention of it. Let me do it one more time. And let me speak slowly, because you are my students, and tomorrow you are going to be the teachers. When Allah calls me away, when you bury me, you make a dua, and then get back onto the battlefield. Don't spend your time praising me. Get back onto the battlefield and do the work that I expect of you to do in struggling in the mission of truth, that truth might be proclaimed in the world, and that falsehood might be challenged and vanquished and defeated. That's your mission. That's your mission in life. So what does the Quran say? It is Surah As-Sad. And in Surah As-Sad, Allah speaks about a fitna that He caused to be caused Sulaiman alayhi salam to experience, the Prophet Solomon. And when Sulaiman alayhi salam experienced this fitna, he saw something. And it is clear that what he saw, he did in a vision, a ru'ya. He saw something, and when he saw it, he was terrified. It caused him great concern and grief and so on. So it was a fitna. And then he responded with a dua to Allah. Now let's go to that verse. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد فتنا سليمان وألقينا على كرسيه جسد ثم أناب. And we caused Sulaiman alayhi salam to experience a fitna. We tested him, we tried him, we caused him to experience something which caused him grief. And when he saw what we caused him to see, he turned to Allah penitently. What did Sulaiman alayhi salam see? وَأَلْقَيْنَا, and we cast, we caused to be placed, we cast عَلَى كُرْسِيهِ, on his kursi. For us, kursi is a chair. But for a king, a ruler, you don't say that he has a kursi, you say he has a throne. So we are talking now about the holy state. The holy state which Allah caused Dawood alayhi salam to establish, the Prophet David. And Allah appointed him as Khalifa of that state. Khalifa, divinely appointed Khalifa or ruler of the state, the holy state. What's the name of that holy state? The Quran does not give it a name. The Hadith does not give it a name. The people who lived in that state were the Israelite people, Banu Israel. Did you hear what I said? Let me repeat it. They were not Americans or Germans or Chinese. The people who lived in that state were Banu Israel, the Israelite people. And so the name which has come down in history for that state, which is given by the Israelite people, is the Holy State of Israel. Why should I not accept that name? What's wrong with it? I can't understand. You have objections to that name, that's your problem, not mine. So he is appointed as the Khalifa, the divinely appointed ruler, to govern or to rule over the holy state, which has come to be known as the Holy State of Israel. But it's the holy state established by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. And Allah caused that state to become powerful. وَشَدَدْنَا, He caused it to become very powerful. And then Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, his son, inherited that state. And when he inherited that state, it became a ruling state in the world. That is essentially the meaning of the part of the meaning of the encounter with Saba, the queen of Saba. That Suleiman's state, the holy state of Israel, had become a ruling state in the world, in the sense that no rival could overpower it, or no combination of rivals could overpower it, could challenge it. That's a ruling state. Not that he has to rule every square inch of Chicago, downtown Chicago. No, not at all. So when Allah says that we cast on his kursi, we are talking very plainly and very clearly and without the shadow of a doubt that we're talking about the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam, the throne which he occupies, on which he symbolizes his rule over the holy state of Israel. You differ with me? You have another opinion? Well, go ahead. Let's hear what you have to say. And my critics have anything I say, they have a different view. Well, then go ahead and expose your view and explain your view and broadcast your view and go ahead, whatever you want to do. But we're moving on. وَأَلْقَيْنَا عَلَى كُرْسِيهِ جَسَدٍ ثُمَّ أَنَابَ. Allah says, we cast on his throne a jasad. A jasad. And when he saw the jasad, this is a vision, when he saw the jasad, he was so terrified, it caused him such grief and such concern that he immediately turned towards Allah penitently to ask Allah something, to make a dua. قَالَ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي. When you want to ask Allah for something, the sunnah is to first seek forgiveness. This is the sunnah of Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. So first of all, he begins by asking Allah for forgiveness before asking for what he wants. قَالَ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَهَبْ لِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِّن بَعْدِي إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. You, O Allah, you are the one who ordains, who gives. And I'm asking you, Allah, to grant me a kingdom, this holy state of Israel, that none can, it cannot belong to any after me. It cannot belong to any after me. In other words, the holy state which was established by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. Are you listening to me in Iran? The holy state which was established by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, the Prophet David, and over which Allah appointed Nabi Dawood alayhi salam as Khalifa, divinely appointed Khalifa or Imam. That holy state which Sulaiman alayhi salam inherited, that holy state, he is now asking Allah that it should end with me. That none can inherit it after me. So after Sulaiman alayhi salam, there is no longer a Khalifa. No longer a Khalifa, no longer a holy state. It ended with him. It ended with him. None can inherit that holy state after him. Why did he make this dua? What is that jasad that he saw on his throne? Number one, if you want to know what is a jasad, you got to go to the Quran. Yes. And in the Quran we recall that when Nabi Musa alayhi salam took Banu Israel across the Red Sea, you remember? وَإِذْ فَرَقْنَا بِكُمُ الْبَحْرَ فَأَنْجَيْنَاكُمْ وَأَغْرَقْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. We parted this sea and you were able to pass across the sea to safety in Sinai. Sinai being the desert, not a hospital in Manhattan. And when Pharaoh and his army attempted to cross, the waters came down and they were drowned. So now we are in Sinai. Watini was Zaytuni, Waturi Sinin. Sinin, Sinai. So in Sinai, Allah ordered Moshe alayhi salam to go up the mountain to meet with him. And he left Harun alayhi salam, his brother, in charge of Banu Israel. And while he was up there in the mountain, someone named the Samiri hijacked the Israelite people and rendered Harun alayhi salam helpless, like a coup d'etat. And he ordered the Israelites to hand over their gold to him. And like a goldsmith, he melted the gold, and then he made, like an engineer, he melted the gold and made a calf, a golden calf. And that golden calf was a jasad. And when it was melted and carved in such a way, forged probably is a better word, that when the wind blew in a particular direction, you'd hear the calf moving, lahu khawan. So that golden calf is referred to in the Quran as a jasad, meaning it's just a hollow piece of gold. That's all. It's a body. It has no ruh in it, which gives it life. No. It has no nafs in it, which gives it a self, an identity. No. So in the case of that gold which was melted, that calf is a jasad. A jasad being a body without a soul, is not a living calf, no, and without a nafs. Does the calf have a nafs? No. A nafs is your identity, your capacity to say I, your ability to be able to choose and make a choice. Only angels have a nafs, because an angel could say, I am Jibreel and you are the messenger of Allah. So an angel has a nafs. A jinn, yes, a jinn has a nafs. Angels are created from light, and jinn are created from smokeless fire, jinn. And a jinn can say, Ana khayrun minhu, I am better than him. I am better than him. Khalaqtani min nar wa khalaqtahu min teen. You created me from fire and you created him from clay. Hence I am superior to him. So a jinn can say I. A jinn has a nafs. He has a personal identity. A jinn can also choose, but an angel cannot. وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. The angels have to do whatever Allah orders them to do. They have no choice. But a jinn can disobey. And this is what he did. Allah asked him, why did you not obey me when I ordered you to bow down and prostrate before Adam alayhi salam? Why did you disobey? So a jinn has a nafs. The translation in English would be a self. A self. In French, would you say une être? Une être. A self. And human beings, of course, have a nafs. A human being can say, this is my hands, this is my hands, these are my hands, sorry. So the human being has a nafs, he has a personal identity. A human being can also make a choice. Al-haqqu min rabbikum faman sha'a falyu'min wa man sha'a falyakfur. The truth has come from your Lord and you have the freedom to choose. You can choose to either accept it or to reject it. So a human being has a nafs, but animals don't have a nafs. No. The calf does not have a nafs, but they do have a ruh, which gives them life. And when that ruh is removed, they die. The animals die. So this jasad that the Samiri forged from gold is just a body without a soul, without a ruh. So what is that jasad on the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam? Meaning someone who appears as a human being, but it's only a body. If you want to sit on the throne, you have to be a human being, and the purpose of your sitting on the throne is because you clearly intend to rule over the holy state of Israel. So it has to be a human being. It cannot be a cow, it cannot be a horse, can it? No. Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam interprets what he saw on the throne. A human being on the throne who wants to rule over holy Israel. That's right. So in this case, the jasad would be a body of a human being. This is my logical deduction. If you differ with me, let me hear your views. What is the jasad? Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, we will see in the dua which is coming now, we will see that Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam understood that jasad who is sitting on his throne wants to rule over his state, holy Israel. That's right. So that jasad has to be in a human form, a human being, not a horse, not a calf or a cow, no. So the jasad that he saw would be a human body, but without a ruh, and a human body without a nafs, without itself. This jasad wants to rule over the holy state of Israel. How do we know that? Why? Because as soon as Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam saw what he saw, immediately he made this dua. So you have to be able to connect the dots. When you connect the dots, then you're able to very easily recognize. I'm sorry that I have to spend so much time to explain what should be very simple for you to understand. But I have to do this. I explained to you why I'm laboring this for so long. As soon as he saw what he saw, he immediately made a dua, in which first of all he asked Allah for forgiveness, and then he asked Allah to grant him a kingdom or a state, which can belong to none after him. Hence cannot belong to the jasad. Cannot belong to the jasad. That is why he made the dua. So who is that jasad? Answer, the jasad who he saw sitting on his throne has to be someone who in Akhirul Zaman would want to inherit the holy state of Israel, who would want to rule over holy Israel. Who can it be? Who can it be? Answer, it is as plain as daylight that jasad sitting on the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam, which he saw in a vision that Allah granted to him, had to be Dajjal. Had to be Dajjal. Dajjal wants to rule over holy Israel, so that sitting in Jerusalem on the throne of Nabi Dawood and Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam over a holy state of Israel that he claims is holy Israel, but it's not. No, it will be a bogus state, because holy Israel cannot be restored. That fellow wants to claim that he is the Messiah. And in order to claim that he is the Messiah, or Al-Masih, and get the Jews to accept his claim that he is the Messiah, he has to rule over what would appear to be holy Israel. And because Sulaiman alayhi salam did not want that to happen, no, he cannot succeed in that effort of his, he made a dua to Allah to grant him his state which none can inherit after him, so that state will end. The state which was established by Dawood alayhi salam, and over which he was appointed as divinely appointed Khalifa, and over which his son Sulaiman alayhi salam ruled. That state came to an end, never, never, never to be revived. Are you listening in Iran? That state came to an end. No more Khalifa appointed by Allah. None, 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 none. What followed after that is another state of Israel, not the holy state of Sulaiman alayhi salam. If Dajjal is a jasad, can he be a jinn? Now then, you need only 5 ringgits. Ringgits is the money they use in Malaysia. 5 ringgits worth of intelligence. Enough to buy roti canai and teh tarik. If Dajjal is a jasad, as the Quran is directing us in this verse of Surah As-Sad, a jasad cannot be a jinn. Why? A jinn has a ruh. Allah breathed it into the human beings. Allah breathed it into the jinn. Allah breathed it into the angels. They have ruh. That's how they have life. And in addition to that, a jinn has a nafs. A jinn has a nafs. And so Allah has given to the jinn, through his nafs, the capacity to choose, a self-directed will. Yes. So a jinn can choose. And if the jinn chooses the path of faith, then the jinn would be Muslim. And if the jinn chooses the path of rejection of faith, then the jinn would be a shaitan. And the plural of shaitan is shayateen. Dajjal cannot be a jinn because he's just a jasad. So then how does he speak? How does he act? How does he move? How does he pursue his mission of impersonation of the true Messiah? Answer, he does it because he's externally programmed. Today there's a term called artificial intelligence, where you can externally program a robot, for example, to behave in a certain way. Artificial intelligence. So Allah created Dajjal, and Allah programmed Dajjal. And whatever Dajjal does, all his actions, all his conduct, everything that he speaks, he does so not on his own accord, because he does not have any ruh, he does not have any nafs. No. Everything he does on the basis of programming, divine programming. So, excuse me, Jordan, no, Dajjal is not a jinn. And Dajjal is not the son of Iblis. I hope that I have settled the issue.